Looking for a desiccant dehumidifier? Join me as we dive into the world of desiccant. We'll be checking out two of the most popular dehumidifiers in this sector. But how do they compare to one another? Stick around and find out. Hello, I'm Che from airconcentre.co.uk. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the differences between two of the most popular desiccant dehumidifiers for home use, the Meaco DD8L and the Meaco Zambezi. By the end of this video, you should understand the differences between the units and which of the two is for you. Both of the units we are looking at today are indeed 8-litre dehumidifiers, but as a quick reference point, this is on par with the extraction rate of 16 to 20 litre compressor dehumidifiers. They are perfect for more or less all types of houses, from 1-bedroom flats all the way up to 5-bedroom houses, as well as spaces prone to dampness or cold, which makes them an extremely versatile type of dehumidifier. Simply place the unit in an open space, like on a landing or a hallway, and it should dehumidify your entire home. However, these will work exceptionally well in colder temperatures too. Their effective temperature range is from 1 to 40 degrees Celsius, which compressor dehumidifiers will struggle at the low end of. So you can stick one of these in your unheated garage, your conservatory, or a caravan over the winter, and it will work just as well as if it were in your warm home. If you dry clothes indoors, dehumidifiers can also help by absorbing moisture and releasing warm, dry air to speed up the process of evaporation from damp laundry. As a desiccant dehumidifier has a heating element inside of it, they are particularly effective at drying laundry and putting some warmth into the room as well. It will generally produce air which is around 10 degrees higher than what it took in. That could be an issue in summer though. For reference, a compressor air output is only around 2 degrees warmer. We also have a dedicated compressor or desiccant dehumidifier video in the works, so subscribe to be the first to know when that is out. So what are we looking at today? Firstly, we have the original Meaco DD8L, their first main desiccant dehumidifier, which combines the efficiency of a desiccant with some of the power-saving features of a compressor dehumidifier. Secondly, we have the Meaco DD8L Zambezi, named after a baby elephant who was rescued after falling into a swimming pool, hence the elephant iconography. It's sort of the successor in the range to the original DD8L. This unit expands upon the groundwork which was laid out by the original, but with extra features such as its on-off timers, daily timers, and the first Meaco dehumidifier to have a Sterilising Ioniser for cleaner air, but coming in at a higher price point, on average about 30 to 40% more expensive. First thing to note is neither have rolling casters, which is great if you don't intend on moving it. The DD8L is small in stature with a unique, rounded, tapered design with its own little porthole at the front to see how much water has been collected. Only weighing 6.4 kilograms when empty, it's a favourite with boat owners, small enough to store in a cubbyhole or your brig, but it doesn't have rolling casters, so it won't roll about when you're bobbing around on the water. The Zambezi has a more square profile, a conventional design than the DD8L. It has its own carry handle that folds down, as you see on the top here, and folds back into the profile of the unit. Along with a front-loaded water tank, it also has internal and external louvers, so you can manually direct the air, which is especially useful when in laundry mode. So you can aim that warm air at your laundry, which will help it dry quicker. But only one of them has an elephant on it. Both units come with laundry mode functionality, which you can turn on by navigating through the unit's functions, whether that's pressing a button to cycle modes or going through its menu navigation. Laundry mode helps with drying, well, laundry. A dehumidifier will assist in the natural drying process by pulling the moisture out of the clothing, thus speeding the drying process. At the same time, if you place or aim the warm air coming out of the desiccant dehumidifier at the laundry, the flowing warm air will also separate more water particles from the fabric into the air, which in turn will end up going to the dehumidifier. Desiccants have an additional edge when it comes to laundry mode, in which they also expel air, which is, on average, 10 degrees warmer than what it takes in. Then, blowing the warm air onto the laundry, speeding up the drying process. The Zambezi has a further edge, in which it has a low energy drying mode and the manually adjustable louver to direct the air, meaning you can aim it at the laundry, creating a more precise laundry mode. These units share a similar footprint to the 20-litre compressor dehumidifiers. The DD8L has a respectable 2-litre tank, whereas the Zambezi has a 3-litre tank. Given these units will extract 8 litres over a day, they're a decent sized tank. Both have continuous drainage options, but neither of them come with a hose. Generally speaking, they're pretty generic ports across all kinds of consumer units, so if you have an aircon which has a drainage hose, it will probably fit. Alternatively, you can use a standard rubber garden hose. Moving on to energy efficiency and running costs. Now, this is probably the most important part to most people, maybe even you. Having seen so much praise towards desiccant dehumidifiers in this video so far, you may be wondering why they aren't more popular. Well, the main reason is they do cost about twice as much to run than a compressor when using it to its full potential. Meaco have done a good job at bridging the gap between compressor and desiccant dehumidifier running costs by bringing their unique control logic technology over to their desiccant range. When the target relative humidity is reached, they will run their fans for 5 minutes to check that all is okay, and then turn itself off to save energy. 30 minutes later, the fan turns back on again, samples the air for 5 more minutes, and then decide whether it needs to start dehumidifying again, or just go back to sleep for another 30 minutes. In a well-sealed home, this will mean that the fan will run for just 10 minutes an hour instead of 60 minutes, using a sixth of the power of other desiccant dehumidifiers that run continuously. Little disclaimer, we work out the running costs by using the on-screen equation. We take the typical energy unit rate cost, divide it by 1,000, and then multiply it by the number of watts the unit uses according to their spec sheets. And voila! We have the hourly running cost in pence. So what do they cost to run? The DD8L uses from 330 watts, and the Zambezi uses from 351 watts. This is on their lowest fan setting, so both will use about 8 pence an hour. This is about in line with what it costs to run a compressor. However, when you use their highest fan speeds and/or laundry modes, that figure doubles to 16p an hour, which is quite a bit more and will certainly add up a lot faster. Having said that, you do get a bonus of a very efficient dehumidifier, which will generally extract moisture at a faster rate, especially when in colder temperatures. Only a desiccant dehumidifier can be used effectively below 15 degrees Celsius. And of course, it can heat up a room. So it's certainly a debate as to whether one of these is more economical than a compressor. But I'll let you make that decision. On to the noise levels. Now, this is always an area which is a bit controversial, especially when it comes to consumer units like dehumidifiers. Given that we don't have an acoustic lab and the building we're in is very noisy, there's a warehouse right there, we have to go by what is on the spec sheets. So please keep in mind, if you're testing them yourself at home with your phone, your smartwatch, or a dedicated instrument, that you'll also be reading ambient noise on top of the noise that these are already making. So, according to the spec sheets, you can expect the DD8L to run somewhere between 39 to 49 decibels, and the Zambezi to run between 40 to 50. They're basically the same. This still floats around the quiet office or moderate rainfall kind of volume levels. So yes, you will hear it when it's running, but it's not intrusive. Factors such as what mode it's running in, what fan level it's at, will all play a role into how loud or quiet the unit will run. But they tend to be quieter than compressor dehumidifiers as they don't have any condenser coils running. It's also why they're lighter. Both of the units come with a removable antibacterial dust filter, which means bacteria will be killed on contact with the filter. Make sure that you clean it every few weeks or so, just by running the nozzle of a vacuum cleaner over it. The Zambezi is also the first to have a Sterilising Ioniser built into the unit. But what is a Sterilising Ioniser, I hear you say? So basically, the Zambezi will fire out loads of negative ions over a 10-meter ionization range, which will attract and attach to positive ions in the air. This will then cause those particles to fall out of the air and onto a surface where they can be easily cleaned up. The ionizer will help to neutralize mold, dust, dust mites, viruses, bacteria, and odors in the air. Simply put, ionizers help with particles that make us sick, like viruses and bacteria, and air cleaners help with particles that make us sneeze, like dust and pollen. Whatever your choice, we're here to make sure you and your family stay dry, cozy, and comfortable. Shop our specialist website where you'll find expert advice, including the most frequently asked questions, and a whole host of comparison reviews across our range of dehumidifiers. Before we get to our conclusion, if this video has been helpful, please leave us a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. On a final note, before we close things off, if you're still unsure whether a compressor or a desiccant dehumidifier is better for you, feel free to check out our compressor versus desiccant dehumidifier guide on our website, which you can find a link to down in the description. And again, we're also working on a video version of that article, so keep your eyes peeled. To wrap up, the Zambezi is our first choice here. While the units are very similar, the Zambezi builds upon the foundation that the DD8 laid out. With the extra timer features, along with the louver, the bigger tank size, and the Sterilising Ioniser, it makes a brilliant model to choose, but it does come at that extra price point. The DD8L is our win if you're looking for value for money though, as it performs just as well as the other, minus a few features. So if those features I mentioned before aren't that key to you and you would rather save the 60 odd quid, then the DD8L is a great bang for buck unit. Thanks for watching, and again, if this video was helpful, please give it a thumbs up, and for more tips, reviews, and home comfort solutions, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Bye bye! See you later! Toodles!